demonstration, picketing, and petitioning of public authorities by a section of law-abiding citizens of the Republic of Kenya was infiltrated and hijacked by a group of organized criminals.
Well, this doesn't age well.
I assure the nation that the government has mobilized all resources at the nation's disposal to ensure that a situation of this nature will not recur again at whatever cost.
Do you want to know how to make God laugh? Make plans.
Today's events mark a critical turning point on how we respond to grave threats to our national security.
Grave threats on national security or grave threats on an agenda?
Our national conversation on any subject matter must be conducted in a manner that respects and honors the foundational values upon which our nation is established, namely constitutionalism, the rule of law, and respect for institutions. It is very painful for Kenya that a conversation this crucial was hijacked by dangerous people who have caused us the kind of loss we have incurred as a nation today.
Passing the blame on the people, right? Well, that sounds like the Democratic Party of the United States.
It is possible that the criminals who rained terror on innocent people and attempted to challenge our law enforcement deployments are still determined to continue with their dangerous behavior.
So then you think you have the right to use live rounds, live bullets on your protesters?
I assure the nation of the government's determination to fulfill its constitutional duty of protecting the people of Kenya against all forms of harm. I hereby put on notice the planners, financiers, orchestrators, and abettors of violence and anarchy.
Now that Ruto has just discovered everything he said was fake, they weren't planners. They weren't promoters, anybody promoting this. This was the people of Kenya, literally Generation Z of Kenya, and the elders that are older generation. It's in on it. They're with it. It's the people of Kenya. It wasn't organized criminal activity that they were talking about. So Ruto today sends in damage control. Smart move. President of Kenya, William Ruto, has backstepped his words. Yesterday at the briefing in the newsroom in Nairobi, Ruto said, "We shall provide a full, effective, and expeditious response to today's treasonous events." He called the event treasonous. He said the demonstrations were hijacked by dangerous people. He continued to go on, it's not in order or even conceivable that criminals, calling them criminals, pretending to be peaceful protesters, can rain terror against the people, their elected representatives, and the institutions established under our Constitution and expect to go scot-free. He then went on to say, "I hereby put on notice the planners, financiers, orchestrators, abettors of violence and anarchy." My question to you, Mr. Ruto, is who wrote that in a speech for you? You were dealing with faulty information. Well, whoever it was may be in for a surprise today, because today is DP Gachagua addressing the nation now after Ruto declined to sign the financial bill, stating that it was a legitimate protest and that it was actually, get this, the people of Kenya.
In yesterday's protests across the country, innocent young children whose only crime was to air their views in a democratic country. Yet it is very clear, and the president has admitted, that these protests were caused by the anger of the people of Kenya and their refusal of Finance Bill 2024.
The world was witnessing a legitimate protest, maybe for the first time in a century. This protest wasn't formed by an institution or with an agenda to take power away from the people and give it to another, but this is a rare sight in today's world. The Kenyans have just set a stage that's to bring true democracy back into the world with true protests by the people. The revolutionaries in Africa is not just in Kenya alone, but throughout the continent right now, as people are taking a stand against the status quo of hypocrisy and puppeteering from the old regimes that are known to have taken place in Africa. Most of them were formed by the West. Ruto today said, listening keenly to the people of Kenya who have said loudly that they want nothing to do with this finance bill 2024, I concede, and therefore I will not sign the 2024 finance bill, and it shall subsequently be withdrawn. He said that today in a press conference briefing in Nairobi because the people didn't back down. If the people backed down, he would not have said that. I don't think. I mean, the climb down, it's going to be seen as a major setback for Ruto. He came into power vowing to help Kenyans cope with the rising costs, but has seen much of the country, led by the youth, unite in opposition to his latest attempt on these reforms. Now in an attempt, to diffuse this volatile situation that he's seeing, Ruto's proposed a dialogue with the young people, the civil society, the religious organizations, and professional bodies on the bill. Should have did that before the bill. Now, Edith Wanjiku, a mother of the teenager killed, let's talk about what she said. Well, she told journalists at a morgue that the police shot her 19-year-old, her son, and that police officer should be charged with murder because her son was unarmed. She said he just completed school and was peacefully protesting. Then opposition leader Raila Odinga called for a dialogue, asserting that Kenya's constitution had been suspended, and said Kenya cannot afford to kill its children just because children are asking for food and jobs and a listening ear. So how do the Kenyans feel about this now? That's the question. How do they feel? Not how Ruto feels, not how all the politicians feel. They've done enough damage. I mean, how do they really feel about what happened? I mean, one person on X today wrote, "Good morning, fellow criminals. Tupatane Thursday to do what criminals do." Another protester wrote that Kenyans will take to the street on Thursday in memory of our fallen people. And another prominent organizer of the youth demonstration said, "You cannot kill us all. Tomorrow we march peacefully again as we wear white for all of our fallen people." Another one noted on X saying, "You will not be forgotten." Other supporters of the week-old protest movement also took to X, though, using hashtag #TutaneThursday, or "See you on Thursday," saying that both in Swahili and English. So the people are getting the message. So what do Kenyans do now? What do the protesters do? Do they still march on Thursday, seeing that Ruto came out and said, "Whoa, come on, okay, guys, I'm listening now"? How do you receive the news if you're one of the family members or friends of those that were killed during the protest? It was a peaceful protest. It got violent when people started being killed. So can't blame the people. So today is a day of loss, a day of mourning for those fallen heroes in Kenya, those fallen revolutionaries. And many are going to decide on what to do next. I'm sure they're going to do the right thing for Kenya, as they seem to have the right thing for Kenyans in mind. The right thing for Africa, as we're seeing this new Africa. And it seems that Ruto may have been trying an old trick in a new Africa. I guess that this should put all the leaders in Africa on notice. All the leaders around the world on notice, because what Africa is doing right now is kind of setting a stage for the people's mentality of the world, and how we're going to unite, how the world will unite. I'd love to see, instead of one nation under God, I'd love to see one world under God. None of this would have happened. I'd like to know what you guys think. I would like to know what the people out there have to say. We would like to hear your comments below. If you'd like to, please share them with us. What's going on? What to do next? What your thoughts are? Do you extend the olive branch to Ruto? He can't dig the Body's out of the grave now. The deed is done. It happened under his watch. But he did do something that we've never seen other leaders do, and that was take responsibility and say, hey, my bad. I'm sorry. If he wouldn't have came out with that press conference the other day, blaming the people, this would be probably a different reaction by the people. But now their reactions and their feelings might have changed after being called criminals when he didn't know the whole fact and he was working with faulty information. How do you let your president work with faulty information? Yeah, others will have to, be scapegoats. We're going to see scapegoats in this. That's the next step, is to find all the scapegoats and send them off with their heads. Save the president would be probably the next call. Save the president. Fire whoever you have to. But save the president. And now for the next tactic, the most popular one, not popular, but most used, not just in Western countries, but around the world, is damage control. They literally have institutions within the system called damage control. When things go awry, send in the cleanup crew. Call in damage control. We need a scapegoat and empathy and sympathy from the people. We need a scapegoat for the people while showing them sympathy to the people. And hopefully by then we can save our necks, and if we're good at it, even get another term, depending on how forgiving the people are.
My heartfelt condolences, that of my wife, Pastor Dorcas, my son, Kevin and Keith, to the grieving families. The decision by our president this evening to withdraw the finance bill after listening to the people of Kenya. It is clear there has been a failure in the intelligence and advice we are receiving, particularly concerning crucial government policies. The President of the Republic of Kenya today has admitted that it has come to his attention that the people of Kenya did not want anything to do with the Finance Bill 2024. The President has now agreed that we need to listen to the people. It had to take people to die, property to be destroyed, protests across the country, for the president to know the truth of what the people of Kenya feel. Yet, there is an organization paid for by the public to brief the president and the government about the feeling of the Kenyan people. My boss, President William Ruto, is exposed that he has to back down and admit that he has heard the people of Kenya. Yet, this matter has been in public domain for the last 2 months. I want to say that Nurdin Haj must take responsibility for the deaths that occurred. He must take responsibility for the mayhem. He must take responsibility for failing President William Ruto. He must take responsibility for failing the government of the Republic of Kenya. He must take responsibility for failing the Kenyan nation by not doing his job and advising correctly. And he must do the honorable thing, not just take responsibility, but resign from that office and allow the president to pick a competent director general. I want to call on the National Intelligence Service not to take us back to the dark old days of the Nyayo era, where you create propaganda and schemes to undermine leaders and those you don't agree with. In view of the very wise decision by the president, in conformity with the wishes of the Kenyan people, to withdraw Finance Bill 2024 that was in contention. As Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya and a patriotic son of this country, I want to appeal to Generation Z to call off the protests for tomorrow, because their cry has been heard by the president. The president has accepted that there was an issue, there was a disconnect, and the president has done the right thing. And I think it's only fair that we call off the protest so that we don't have further loss of lives and destruction of property. Is an appeal that I've made as a father, as a parent, to our young children. We love you, we respect you. Please, I beseech you as your father, now that the president has given in and accepted to go with the wishes of the Kenyan people, please, my sons and daughters, I plead with you to save lives, to save bloodshed, to save loss of property and lives. My sons, my daughters, please make an announcement this evening and call off the protest. And the problem is simple. The Director General of the National Intelligence Service, Nuruddin Haji, was a junior officer in the National Intelligence Service before he was appointed as DPP. When he was appointed to the office of the Director General, because of inferiority complex, he chased away all the people who were senior to him when he was in the service.
What say you? God bless you. Hearts are with you, Africa, over there during this. Our hearts right now are vexed by the deaths and the people that have been hurt and injured and killed in this revolution. God bless you, one love, and we'll see you on the next one.